the next section we're looking at is finding the area of a non-right angled triangle. So if we had a right angle in our triangle, or if we knew the perpendicular height, we can easily just use the formula A equals half times base times height. But if we get a triangle where we don't know the perpendicular height, okay, or it's not given to us in any way, what we need is a different formula. So this is the formula if we don't have a right angle or we don't know the perpendicular height. So it's half AB sine C, following the same naming conventions for the sides and the angles. So why this works is, again, we're going to be cutting up our triangle and we're going to have our base and the height here. Okay, so if we know the base and the height, we can just use half base times height. But what we want is to be able to find the height in terms of some of the other sides. So if I go and zoom into this triangle, we end up with this one here. And if I want to find that perpendicular height, well, I can just use the cosine ratio. So the cosine ratio, sine of C will give us h over a, or the height we can write as a sine C. So if we substitute it into half base times height, we'll get half times the base, which was b, okay, aptly named, times the height, which is a sine C. And that's where this formula comes from, half AB sine C. So what you'll notice is the angle is the angle between the two sides that we're multiplying together. So it's the two sides and their included angle that we're putting together. So let's have a look at a couple of questions. So the first one, find the area of this figure. So the formula is A equals half AB sine C. And you can see the angle is between the two sides that we're working with. So it's half times 5 times 8 times sine of 100 degrees. And when you put that into your calculator, you get 19.696. Okay, something. And then when we round that off, I might round to one decimal place, 19.7. Okay, so that's in units squared. Okay, so square units. For this particular question, I didn't give you any units, so if you just wrote the number, I would have been fine with that. Okay, so that was to one decimal place. That's the area. For the second question, I've also put in, I want you to find the exact value of the area. Okay, so when we're looking at exact, okay, remember 60 degrees was a special angle that we could use. What we're going to do here is, you can see it's like a quadrilateral, but we're going to cut it into two shapes. We're going to look at this top shape and we're going to look at this bottom triangle. So we're going to look at these separately. If I'm looking at the bottom triangle, let's start with the blue one. We've got 12 and 15, and you can see that we've already got a right angle in this triangle, which means we can just use half base times height. So if I call that A1, A1 is half times base times height, which is half times 12 times 5, which is 30. Okay? When we go to look at the red shape, we've got our angle here. We've got our side 6, but what we also need is this side here. So we haven't been given a right angle here, so we can't assume it. But using the rule that we've just been looking at, if we know the diagonal of this quadrilateral, then we can work out the area of that shape. And how we can work out the side of the diagonal of the quadrilateral is we're going to go back to this triangle here. Because it's a right angled triangle, we can use Pythagoras to work out that side. Okay, so if I call that C for now, C squared is 5 squared plus 12 squared, and that's 169. So C is going to be the square root of 169, which is 13. So what we know is that horizontal side, the diagonal, is 13. And once we've got that, we can now work out the area of A2. So A2, following the formula, half AB sine C is half times 6 times 13 sine of 60. Now, sine of 60, okay, remember we wanted exact value. You might need to go back to your triangle, okay, the right angle, the special angles. Sine of 60, so let me just work this out first. Half times 6 times 13. Sine of 60 is the square root of 3 of 2. Okay, so what we've got is half times 6 times 13 times root 3 over 2. If you're not sure, make sure you refer back to your triangles. And when we simplify that, it's 39 root 3 over 2. Okay, so that would be the exact value for A2. To find the total area, what we're now going to do is add together those two. So the area total is A1 plus A2, which is 30 plus 39 root 3 on 2. So that's perfectly fine to leave it as. If you want, you can write it as one fraction. So then if we need a denominator of 2, that's going to be 60 plus 39 square root 3 over 2. Okay, so that's using a bit of fractions, making sure you're working with your surds well. So there's a couple of questions that I'd like you to have a go at. See how you go with those.